Hello, everyone. This is Food Alchemy Network. I just wanted to say welcome. We have our guests. We're getting ready, and we're going to go to a commercial for Food Alchemy Network. So we'll be back in 2 seconds after 3 commercials. Dr. Ron Bates comes on at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Dr. D, metaphysician, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Food Alchemy Network. Mind, body, and soul. We like to help you. Stay tuned. Dr. V, med physician, biofeedback, quantum physics, quantum biofeedback. We also have Reiki, Prana, and Muna Aiki in doulaship. These are some of the services and the numbers that you can reach Dr. D at. Dr. D, med physician. All right, one more. Angelic Whispers, Dr. Ron Bates from St. Petersburg, Florida. Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 8 p.m. Pacific, 727-526-8768. Dr. Ron Bates. Make an appointment in St. Petersburg and Tampa Bay area. 727-526-8768. That is the number where Dr. Ron Bates can be reached. And without further ado, our luxurious Ori intuitive life coach, Ori, Yoruba priestess, Santeria priestess. Call number 561-810-0566. These are just some of the titles of Dr. Ori Vanderbilt's books. 561-810-0566. 510. We are back. All right. It's just me. All right. Welcome to my house of craziness.
Hey,
It's called Food Alchemy Network. So those are the commercials people y'all look at. Y'all be wondering like, okay, I'm saying this for my Spotify and audience out there because we take these videos and they're uploaded on our Spotify Food Alchemy Network on the other podcasts. So it's not only live as you see on video, we're live on Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, Apple. You'll be able to see these live so you can go back and upload them and hear them. And if you want to watch the video, of course, look for Food Alchemy. And I want to say, if you like the content, I'm learning this from my son. You got to subscribe and push that bell. I'm learning. Corey, you should be so proud of me. He's not here, but he should be proud of me. Okay. And not only that, we're actually live on Twitch, Periscope, and Facebook on Dr. Cicely D'Angelo's page. We're live on all those feedbacks. So if you have comments, you're in there. Please let us know. And let's see. I think we have someone that is waiting to get in. Oh my gosh, the late arrival. And he is the host. What do we do?
We're the host, not me. You're the host. You run the show. You run the show.
Oh, really? Oh, right. So this is Mr. Cartess Ross. This is my son, Corey, and he put his full name up there. Okay, so when they search for you, they got you. I'm just good old-fashioned Dr. D.
Awesome. Nice to meet y'all.
So, oh, no problem. So they not. I want to say thank you for coming. We really appreciate that and your time and the time difference. There is what time is it there in good old Mexico?
It is 8:05. I think we're just about an hour or 2 hours ahead
It's 6.
or
Yeah, you're 2 hours
behind.
ahead.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
ahead. You're ahead. 2 hours ahead of us. Okay. So explain first. I want you to tell people your name and what you do,
Um,
and then
okay.
we'll.
Okay. Well, my name is Cartess Ross. For the last 20 years, I primarily have been doing internet marketing, helping put small businesses and entrepreneurs online. Over the last 10 years, I've more or less diverted into the course space, helping people package up their talents, their knowledge, and skills and turn them into online courses. Now, been like I said, been doing that for about 20 years altogether, and now just to kind of decided to just kind of kick back, relax, and just try and build my own travel brand or travel blog, for lack of a better word.
I think you're doing an excellent job. I've been watching you for years, so I'm loving your travels.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So I want you to talk about what made you decide to be an expat. Like, what took you there?
Well, on this time around, I'm almost 50 years old. I'll be 48 in December. And over the years, I've done well financially online, making money, but I've done a poor job saving it and done a poor job investing. So I have no savings, I have no retirement, I have no 401k. And so I started to see the writing on the wall. I'm like, okay, I'll be 50 years old soon. Got about 15 years to get this right. So how can I best play catch up? And so I just kind of started thinking the process through, and my thought process was like, well, if I could cut my expenses by 50 to 60%, then I can use those monies to save. And so that got me looking into other countries. And so my plan was to go back to Colombia, South America, live there, and again, just cut my expenses while at the same time improving, my quality of life. So I would spend less there. Quality of life is better, and saving money so that I can try and catch up over these next 10, 15 years. I'm not trying to be, I don't want to be trying to figure out Google's algorithm at 70 years old. I'm trying to keep up with Facebook's likes and all of that stuff. So I'm like, I got to fix this. So that's what kind of got the wheels in motion this time around.
Okay, so tell me, because I was going to get to that, because I've been following you since you were in Medellin and you were doing that, and then you came back to the States. So that was the same reasoning for you to go into Medellin, was for the save your money?
Well, not necessarily. My daughter at the time was was going to be a junior. Was she a junior? I think she was I can't remember the dates. I think she was going to be a junior. She got accepted into an exchange student program to go to the Czech Republic for a year. And so while she was gone for that year, we figured, I'm like, you know what? Since she's gone, let's get our passports, because see, none of us had passports. So when she got her passport, I was like, well, we can all get our passports. So that was very exciting. So she kind of set the flame, by winning that exchange student program. So that kind of got the wheels turning. And so we were like, okay, wow, she's gone for a year, we'll go for a year. And we have a total of 5 children. So the oldest son was already gone. The oldest daughter was going to be in the Czech Republic. So that just left us with 3 kids. And so we was like, well, you know what? All 5 of us, we can pack up and go for a year and just kind of check things out. And the plan eventually was, for when my daughter finished up her 1 year, in Czech Republic, she would join us in Colombia, but she decided that she wanted to finish up her senior year in Florida, so we ended up going back.
Oh, wow. So tell me, how did you pick Colombia? Like, what was it to stand out to say, Colombia is the place we want to go versus Taiwan versus, where's other, Taiwan or Thailand or Malaysia or India, those places? What made you pick Colombia?
Well,
the first
for us, so Colombia, we figured that we thought our high school Spanish would be enough to get by on when we got to Colombia. So it was like, okay, so we know some Spanish. That's an advantage. But of course, that didn't work out. That stuff they teach you in school was just completely worthless. It's not an asset. So with that, so the other reasoning was it's still close to the United States. If we needed to get back pretty quick, we could be back on United States soil within 2.5 to 3 hours if something went wrong. So that was the other reasoning. And then, of course, after doing a bunch of research, and started to learn that a lot of Americans were making that trip to Colombia. So with all of that, just decided that would be the first place to go and just kind of check it out. And so that's how we ended up in Medellin.
Okay. So, because I remember looking at the videos, you was showing your apartment and how much the cost was. So that's exciting. Things to look at because most people don't think about that. The cost, basically, someone did housekeeping, and the area, because Medellin had gotten a bad name for the narcotel. What is it? The drug people.
Correct.
I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, narcos, narcotics, cocaine traffickers, drug trafficking. They did have a bad name. And the show that Netflix put out called Narcos didn't make it better because people, when they watched that show, it just made them believe it was still currently happening. But most people didn't realize that Pablo Escobar was killed 30 years earlier when that show started to air. So people still had a lot of preconceived notions about the drug trafficking and the violence and the crimes there. But the beauty is, in doing that research, I find that people generally are nervous and have anxiety about living in other countries or traveling when they don't have all the information, they don't have all the facts. And I find that when you start digging in, doing the research, a lot of that anxiety starting to go away. And so as we started digging, we was like, okay, it's not as bad as the media made it out to be. And, we're inside of these Facebook groups talking to people that are currently there in real time. And so we're getting real live information from multiple families. And so we just started to feel better and better and better about the decision to go on over there. And then once we got there, it was like, wow, it was better than we thought. Now, I will admit, when we got to the airport to get on the plane in Florida, we had one-way tickets. And so I didn't know that we needed to have a return ticket showing that we were leaving the country, that we would be leaving Colombia to come back to the United States. So the lady was like, if you want to get on this plane, you need to buy 5 plane tickets coming back. And so because I got nervous, I got scared. I was like, maybe this is God trying to warn me not to go on this trip. These folks might take us and kidnap us and hold us for ransom. So all of my fears started coming back. And so my kids was looking at me and they was like, well, we don't got no home, Daddy. You sold everything. You gave everything away. And my wife was like, yeah, I told you to put that stuff in storage, but you didn't want to do that either. She was like, we gonna buy them tickets. And so I went ahead and I pulled my. So one of the flight attendants came over to me and told me, she was like, well, it was a guy actually. He was like, you can go ahead and buy the 5 plane tickets, and he said pay a little extra, and so you can get a refund within 24 hours. And so he was like, buy the plane tickets. When you land and get to your hotel, call back and cancel. So I did that, and so we got on that plane. I started getting nervous. Anxiety was in the air, and I was like, man, I messed up. I made some bad choices. We're gonna get killed. What was I thinking? Taking everybody to Colombia? I don't know what I'm doing. But when we got there, the plane landed, and it was dark. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. That's another bad decision. Don't be flying somewhere late right there. And so we got there at 1 in the morning. It was raining. All these taxi guys rushed us, speaking Spanish. You know, we didn't understand a word they were saying. And I was like, man, what's going on? And so our phones didn't work, so we couldn't order Uber. And the taxis are very small. And so we had these 5 big suitcases. So they was like, y'all need to take 2 cars and separate. And I was like, I don't know if I want to separate, man, because they might take one of us or the other car might ride off. And so we ended up getting in 2 separate cars with the luggage. And then we were riding down the road. The guy talking to somebody on the phone, and all we heard him say, he was just laughing, Americanos, Americanos, Americanos. We're like, oh man, they about to take us. And so apparently the same conversation was happening in the car with my wife as well. So she had already told my daughter, if I jump out this car, you jump with me. And so we were just nervous. So we went down the mountain, because they were driving like a fool around the mountain, and it was raining. We got to the hotel, and when we got there, everything just opened up. All the lights, all the glitz, all the beauty, all the glamour. And once we got in there and got into the room, and the following morning we stepped outside, we was like, man, this place is heaven. You know, and we almost missed it because I almost got chickened out at the end, at the last minute. But it was the best decision
right
ever.
Okay, so I have a question. Since you did your research, what made you pick Medellin out of all the Colombian countries to go to first?
It seemed to be the most modern of all the cities in Colombia. So I was led to believe that. It was only after I went back the second time recently that I realized that there are other cities just as modern and just as beautiful. So Medellin, the thing that sold me was how modern it was and how cheap it was. And so those were the 2 biggest things. And plus there was a pretty large Black expat community out there. And I had already started making friends and talking to a lot of folks there before I got there. So I just felt comfortable. I'm like, okay, we already made these relationships. Let's just go there and connect. And if we want to go somewhere else after that, then we can.
Okay, so give me some examples of things that were inexpensive in Colombia versus the US.
Okay, so definitely the rent. So the place we were in, it was a penthouse, 3 levels, and so I can't remember what we was paying. I want to say we was paying like $1,400 a month. Somewhere in the United States, it probably would have been more around the $6,500 range for the same thing. Now, unbeknownst to us, we thought we got a good deal. We were ecstatic about it because we had this big old pretty place, and like $1,400. We're like, man, this is cheap. We would never have this in the U.S. But come to find out, we got green gold, which basically means when they recognize that you're a foreigner, they would jack the price up on you. So they jacked the price up on us because we come to find out our neighbor, who we got to know very well, was paying like $750 a month for the same thing. So now that's on the extreme. We did stay in the more affluent area, but there are other areas where we could have gotten the same thing probably for about $450 to $500. So I have seen rent there as low as $300 a month for brand new places. So the rent definitely was something that was cheap. Also, just services like maid services. So we had a maid that come in 6 days a week from Monday through Saturday from 8 to 5. 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. She would clean, cook, iron, scrub the towel boards, iron our clothes, go to the grocery store, wash the kids, launder our clothes. We're talking $395 per month for that. And per month, you know what I mean? So, and again, we went through an agency. So by going through an agency, we paid more. If we had went and found our own, we probably could have got it for about $295 a month. Or you can actually get maids that live in your house 7 days a week for about $500 a month. And they're there 24 hours a day.
Wow.
So those were the two major things. Food was super cheap, fruits, vegetables, also restaurants that you go to, super cheap as well. So for example, all 5 of us, we could easily go out to dinner, each order our own foods with drinks, beer, liquor drinks as well. And I mean, for all 5 of us, the bill would be like $22, and we're taking food home as well.
Wow.
Have plenty enough to take home to eat.
Okay. Wow. So that's a big difference. So when you went to from the U.S. to Colombia, how did your health do? Did you lose more weight? Did you get more active? Like, what was some of the great benefits? This is what I want people to see, the benefits of actually moving outside the country that you benefit from.
Absolutely. So definitely the health, because in Medellin, we did a lot of walking because we did not have a car. We caught taxis and Ubers everywhere we went. Now, I would probably say, I don't know, probably half the population probably don't have cars there. So you don't need a car there at all, because as soon as you walk out the door, there's probably 50 taxis just lined up down the street, and you just go get a taxi or take an Uber. So, when you take an Uber to the grocery store, you generally go in the grocery store, you grab your stuff, and then you might walk around to 3 or 4 other stores. And so you're getting that exercise in. You're trying to get everything done while you're out. Also, what I found was that, here in the United States, when we go to the grocery store, we may go to the grocery store once a week or once every 2 weeks, buy everything at one time, and then bring it back home. There, most people will go to the grocery store like every day. On the way home, they stop by the market, pick up a couple of things in a small bag, and they go home, they prepare it. And then the next day when they pass the grocery store on the way home from work, they're picking up. So they're buying everything in smaller quantities. So again, a lot of that stuff is not going to waste like it would when you buy stuff a week or 2 in advance. I will say, so we definitely lost weight. I'm currently now in Mexico, and just to kind of give you a quick story about the health aspect. Before I left to fly to Colombia a few months ago, and then back in Mexico, my doctor was trying to put me on insulin, and so she was putting me on insulin. I went to the pharmacy to get it, but they had botched the order, and they didn't have it. And so I was getting on the plane the next day, so I couldn't get the insulin. And so that was in addition to taking the metformin that I was taking already. By the time I got back to the United States to pick up my daughters, I went back in for a workup, and they took my blood sugars. It had dropped so low. She thought it was the insulin, but I explained to her, I said, I never got the insulin. And I explained to her that I ran out of my metformin 2 weeks ago. And so she was like, your blood sugars are down this low, and you're not on insulin, and you haven't been taking your medicine for 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, I haven't been taking my medicine. So she squashed the insulin order and took me off of the metformin and told me, go back, do what you've been doing, and just keep at it. So I've lost weight. I've gotten off my blood pressure, not my blood pressure, but my diabetes medication, type 2 diabetes medication, since I've been gone the last 4.5 months, just from the extra walking that we've been doing since we've been here.
Okay. So did you invest in bikes when you were in Colombia
I
to ride
didn't.
around to get exercise or just walking?
We just walked because the Ubers and taxis were so convenient. We didn't necessarily, we didn't need them bikes. Now, just to give you an example of what the Uber rides cost, say for instance, call Uber. Let's say they took me 25 minutes down the road. That Uber trip, we're talking like 95 cents to $1.15. So you literally did not need a car or a bike. Literally, like I say, there were taxis everywhere to the point where, because most of the time we'll take Uber when we leave home, but we always took a taxi back to the house just because they were everywhere.
Right. That makes sense. So I like that. So you got that. I want to highlight for them. So we went to Colombia. We're not believing the propaganda that is putting fear, stress on us not to go outside our comfort zone, but to stay in America and keep their money. Okay.
Correct.
The benefit was the health benefits, but also you probably spent more time with your family and also
Absolutely.
buying in smaller quantities that was efficient and saved you money on food that probably would have went to the waste in United States, which is amazing. So
Absolutely.
those are just some benefits, health benefits of getting off medications you really don't need and exercising in the appropriate manner, but spending time with your family that you can't buy getting time with your family. So that in itself, because in America, we're stressed out because we got to pay our rent. We got to pay insurance. We got a car note. We got car registration. We got car this, car that. I mean, we got so many bills keep us coming for going that you just work to work. You don't even work to save, to have anything. And this brings stress and it raises your cortisone levels, which people don't realize, which is stress that also affects your pancreas, and your pancreas produces more insulin, which causes you to be diabetic, and then the stress also messes up your blood pressure. I'm just naming some things out there. You know, the stress, the high blood pressure. I mean, they go in sync. Yeah, blood pressure gets so high it messes up that you might have kidney problems. That's why they want you to watch, because what they're doing is they're doing workups versus that's what they do. We're just watching. We're going to give you this medicine to put a band-aid on that boo-boo for a minute, but we're not looking at the true symptoms. So whereas there, we didn't even have to worry about that. But that's so the thing is, I like there because it's more vibrant. You can dance there. That is hi Infinite. How are you, love? Blessings. So that is a beautiful thing, being an expat, but also not having what I find is an American mind of you, and not being arrogant. So that plays a key part, because a lot of countries don't like us Americans because they think we're arrogant and hard to please and don't want to be bothered. So for those people, I want to say, don't go out the country acting like an American. You're in somebody else's home. You're in, as they say, you're in somebody else's house.
Absolutely.
So treat it with respect. So now you've been there, because I know a month ago you were still in Colombia. So what made you make the decision just to go from Colombia to Mexico?
So
just to even visit, to make a decision.
Yeah, because I had originally, so on the second trip a few months ago when I went back to Colombia, the plan was to find a place there. The plan was to live there. So instead of going back to Medellin, I said I would look into several other cities, only because I felt that Medellin was growing. It was getting more expensive. A lot of more expats were going there, and the traffic was bad. The traffic is horrible there. So I was like, let me look into some other places. And my rationale was if I can find some lesser known cities, it's probably going to be even cheaper than Medellin. And that ended up being the case. I found some places that the views were just as immaculate and in some places just better than Medellin. And Medellin had some of the most incredible views. And again, and the cost of living was even cheaper in some of these other places. So for example, I stayed in one place in Colombia. I haven't put this video up yet, but I mean, the apartment that I was in was a 3-bedroom apartment, fully furnished, included utilities, swimming pool, everything. That was $376 a month. And it was brand spanking new. And and the food was cheaper there. Ubers were even cheaper there. And again, and the views were incredible. So I went to about 5 or 6 different cities there. And so what ended up happening was the quarantines, the curfews, the lockdowns, they started getting very strict. And so I was like, man, you know what? I didn't come all the way here just to be stuck in hotel rooms all day. And so I continued to bounce around the different cities, hoping that some of the restrictions weren't so strict in those other cities. And so by the time I got to the last 2 cities, they had what they called a National Day of Protest, something with the taxes and the salaries. And that National Day of Protest ended up turning into riots that ended up lasting months. Folks getting killed, police getting violent. And so I flew to Medellin. I was like, all right, let me get out of the town that I'm in. Let me fly back to Medellin where there's more people, probably be a little bit more stable. So I got to Medellin. Because the violence started to get a little worse, they decided to lock everything down. So I was like, golly, okay, let me get out of here. I was like, okay, I had already investigated Mexico. So I did a little bit more research. There were no lockdowns in the area where I wanted to go in Mexico. So I was like, let me get on the plane and go to Mexico. So I hopped the plane, flew into Mexico City. And once I got to a place called Querétaro, which is just like Merida, where I'm at now, I was like, man, this place is better. I'm like, man, what had they been telling us about Mexico? How am I almost 50 years old and had never went across that border to go see for myself? Mexico blew my mind. I mean, it turned everything upside down. So that's how I ended up in Mexico, because of the riots and because of the lockdowns in Colombia. I figured I'd come here to things cool down. And now that I'm here, I'm like, I ain't leaving. I'm gonna stay right here. It's not as cheap as Colombia, but for the benefits you get. So Colombia is, you still have to kind of watch for safety. You still got to kind of be mindful. So like if I'm walking around recording with my phone, people will always walk by and say, put your phone up, you're making yourself a target. And if I have my laptop out, they'll come by, put your laptop out, they're gonna take it from you. And so you always had to be mindful. I still felt safe there, but you always had to be mindful. The thing about here where we're at in Mexico, this particular area that I'm in is considered the second safest city in all of North America, Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And so I'm able to walk around with my phone. I'm able to walk around with my computer. And I'm 100% comfortable. I'm not worried about anything. My peace of mind is just 10 times better. And, having my girls here with me, that safety factor here is just is a much bigger benefit to being here.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So, okay. So are your kids in school there? Are your kids in school?
They're not. We've been homeschooling now. We started homeschooling about 5 years ago. and have continued.
Wow.
I thought about putting them in school here, but they don't want to go. Number one, number two, I guess it still allows us to be flexible. If we need to go somewhere or decide to move about, we can.
Okay.
Plus the schools, they haven't reopened back up yet here. They still have the schools shut down here in Mexico. They haven't
Wow.
go back to school yet because of the pandemic.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm doing this on Instagram. That's why you see this camera. I haven't mastered that yet. So people, I'm here, but I'm doing on Instagram as well. So I'm shooting this live on my channel. Like I said, I'm trying to get as much information out as possible. So
Absolutely.
what I can do that, there you go. So you can see me a little bit. I gotta peek up. I'm short. So I gotta peek over my camera. So I like that you homeschool. Is there a homeschool community there for the children to connect with there in Mexico?
Yes, there is. There's a couple of them. And matter of fact, there's a young lady who just arrived today who has a homeschool program. She started to build a community before she got here. But yes, so short answer, yes, there's several here. We have not participated in them only because we've already kind of got our own routine, and I know how I am. I was recently diagnosed with ADD, probably about 5-6 years ago. And it explains a lot of things about why I do what I do and how I do it. So because of the way my mindset is, participating in some things where I have to be consistent is very challenging for me. And so I choose not to get involved because I won't stick to it.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, and it's good. So you have that, and this works for you, and it works for the children. So I have a question. How has your wife felt with all these moves? Like, how is her health? How is she adjusting from being an American to actually being an expat in Colombia, and now she's an expat and a mom expat at that, which is like a boom boom. Actually in Mexico.
Well, she actually just got here. We've actually been separated for about 18 months, and so when I left for Colombia a few months ago and for Mexico, I was going on my own with the intentions of just finding a place, and the plan was just to fly the girls down every other month and work it out that way. So, but she actually just got here maybe about 3 weeks ago. So we're trying to work some things out. And so she just got here. She's adjusting, she's not adjusting too well to the heat. And because it's hot here in the Yucatan. So she actually just ended up getting a big old boil on her backside from the excessive walking and sweating, is what the doctor said. And so she came down. She had just spent a couple of $100 getting the sew in, spent a lot of money on the hair, and then after 2 days, had to take it out because she had sweated it out so bad. And so that didn't make the transition easier because she's like, is it going to be like this every day? And I was like, this is good weather now. You don't miss the hot. I'm like, whoa, you ain't seen nothing. I was like, when the heat return, if you struggling now, you really gonna be struggling. Because right now we're running around here wearing sweaters.
Right. See, when your body get acclimated, that's what I was trying to explain to people. I lived in Hawaii for so long that when I
Hmm.
came back to the mainland, mom said, "Well, you were born in Philadelphia." I said, "It don't matter. I've been living, you got to realize I've been on the West Coast and I've been living in Hawaii for so long that your body gets used to it. So anything below, and I used to, anything below 85, I'm saying, they look,
You're right. You be freezing. You be freezing. It really happens that way.
and they think you crazy. Like, wait a minute, what happened? Well, my blood adjusted to the heat, so it got, thicker, and now my blood is thinner. It's just that's just the way it is. So
It
I hope
is.
she does well. And so,
Yeah,
because the thing is,
yeah.
I'm gonna ask, where you can go to the hairdresser out there. Is, we got to get the hair done.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I hope you find somebody that you can connect with to get the hair
Absolutely.
done. And
There's
you got to
plenty.
get a
There's
pedicure and manicure. So
absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of women here that have brought their skill sets with them, that do the braiding, that do the sew-ins, that do the hair. So my daughter, she's in ballet, takes ballet. She goes to a ballet school here. She has to wear her hair in a bun. So about every 6 weeks, she has to get her hair redone and braided. A lady comes over to the house, she braids it, puts it up in a bun for her. And my other one, she does her hair for as well. So a lot of the moms and other women that did hair back in the States that are now living here, they bring a bunch of stuff with them, and they they superstars, they're celebrities out here. Everybody calling them, like, I need to get my hair done. I need to get on the schedule. So yeah,
that's
there's
good.
plenty of them around.
So that lets me know there's plenty opportunity for growth and business there for people like to grow from. So that's amazing. That's first of all,
Absolutely.
because it's not going to affect the economy. Because that's the first thing you got to think of when you're going into a community. Are you going to affect the economy where they're going to want to kick you out, or are you going to help the
Exactly.
economy grow? So
Exactly.
Ashe for that. So I know you were sharing there was a woman from Belize that actually fixed food that was great in her home and was feeding. So how did you come across her feeding versus going, around town and seeing that? What made you go to her to figure out,
So
what she's doing?
we do go to a lot of restaurants here. Um, I'm just looking to make sure I pronounce her name correctly. Um, we do go to a lot of local restaurants on a regular basis here. But after a while, you still kind of miss the flavors and food that you
Mm-hmm.
have back at home. So here, everything, of course, is Mexican food. And
Okay.
so this young lady ended up posting some stuff in the Facebook group, where somebody else actually posted a photograph of her food. And I messaged her, and I was like, man, I want to get some of that. And she was like, she actually called me. She was like, hey, I know you here by yourself with your daughters. Why don't y'all come over and I'll fix y'all a home cooked meal? And so we missed that appointment because my daughter's dance schedule had unexpectedly changed. But I ended up seeing a menu, and I ended up ordering a menu to have it delivered on Sunday or picked up on Sunday. And we ate the food. It was just so delicious. And so her philosophy, and I just believe everybody just deserve a home cooked meal at least one day a week. And so that's how I met her. I buy her food every week, and for the kids and myself, and we eat it. It's good. Like you say, she's from Belize. She loves cooking. Her food is very flavorful. I didn't realize Belize borders Mexico on the
Yes.
Caribbean side, and so the food has that Caribbean flavor, and it's just delicious. So
Smacking
I'm
good.
it is. It is. So we eat that every
So,
Sunday, and eat out everywhere else during the week, or cook at home on our own as well.
okay. So that's what I actually do. You have a barbecue grill where you're grilling, or you know, how is that working? Or do you just have do you have a gas stove or electric stove, or how does that work there?
Yeah,
Um,
so
and
we don't have a barbecue grill, and the only reason why is because while we've been married, my wife always did the barbecuing. So I don't know how to barbecue. So, but now that she's here, she's like, we need to get a grill. And I'm like, well, then get a grill. You know what I mean? Do what you do, because if you don't get it, I ain't gonna get. We're not gonna grill. But so she's actually been looking for one. We do have a stove here. Again, it's like regular stoves in the United States. Um, we run on gas, so we
okay,
cook the same way we did back at home. The food is a lot
okay,
cheaper in the grocery stores, and much
hmm,
fresher. And so all the fruits and all the vegetables have seeds in them, whereas back home a lot of the stuff don't have seeds in them. And
GM,
it's fresher,
GMO,
bigger, and cheaper. So
right?
the food options are great. They don't put a lot. I did a little research. They don't put a lot of the same chemicals and hormones into the meats like we do at home. A lot of that stuff is banned in Mexico. So a lot of the food don't have any GMOs in it, and so you can definitely taste the difference. And even my daughter, she doesn't walk they don't walk nearly as much as I do, but they're losing weight without necessarily exercising. I think it's just from the quality of food. The quality of food is just
Yeah,
better.
right. And that's what I want everybody like foresee to think about is your food. I lived in Tijuana, Mexico,
Okay.
and the food quality, like I said, when I came back to the mainland, United States, I'm gonna
hmm
say, I got sick for 6 months. I couldn't eat the food here. 6 months
Wow.
it took my body to adjust. So
Ooh.
now I've been raw, I've been vegan and all of that.
Mhm.
And then I lived over Thailand, Malaysia, and all of that for years, and then Hawaii. And when
Uh-huh.
I came back here, just eating the food, I was sick and literally like almost died because the food was that
Ooh.
poisoning. And I was trying to tell people we share a cow. You can get meat from the cow in Hawaii, and the family split it. And you can get that. They don't have that option
Mm.
here where
Yeah.
you can go to the farm and get that. And my girlfriend said, well, they have that in Mexico. Well, if you know the
Yeah.
farmer, you can get in on that, and they break the cow down and all that stuff. That just these are things that are outside our normal frame of thinking when it comes to our food. And my
Absolutely.
friend Frank makes sausages in Tijuana, where in my little area is we call Carmen de Playas, that little
Okay.
area right there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we live there, and he make the sausages in their stores. And the thing is that what we have, their cakes are different than a different sweet than what we eat, than
Yes.
American cake
Absolutely.
or French
Exactly.
cake. So the pan is really pan. I mean bread. That's the for people out there. So they have the doles that tells you doles. If you see doles, that means sweet.
Mm.
So you'll know, but it's not sweet like that. Like their cakes have more fruit in them versus
hmm
or a fruit spreading versus America got that frosting in it, that whipped cream, that this, that. They have that, but they have the fruit in it. So
Exactly.
these are things that we don't realize that we have every day, that is like, okay, these are chances for them to put in that high fructose corn syrup, to put in
Yep.
that dextrose, that maltodextrin, that sucrose. These are things, or the aspartame, to put in canola oil. We're the only country that accept canola oil.
Wow.
Oh shoot! Of course, everybody wants to call now. Okay, I'm actually live, so I'm gonna have to call you back.
Looking for you.
You're looking for me. How you looking for me? I'm on Food Alchemy Network.
I'm saying because Bev is looking for you on her show.
Oh, I told him I would be not. I don't get off until like another 10 minutes. I told him that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have another show. Can you call her and let her know I'll be there in another 10 minutes?
All right, I got you.
Thank you, love.
All right.
Bye. Oh my God. People don't listen. You know, our people don't listen. I said, I got a show to do, and I'll be right on over there. And I said, my show get off at 7.
Uh-huh.
He said, oh, well, we'll play music. We got you. Okay.
You roll with
Let's
it.
begin. I'm sorry.
Oh, you did.
Y'all is live, and I'm not Memorex. If y'all remember that commercial, I'm telling my age. Where they would have the Memorex tape, it's like, this is live, and this is Memorex. This ain't Memorex. This is live.
This is live.
Okay, so I want to know, my question for you, if you did you do the research on bringing a car into Mexico?
I haven't done. I didn't dig deep because everyone in the Facebook groups say don't do it unless you have, I guess, temporary or permanent residency. Otherwise, you have to drive the car out every 6 months. And something about the taxes and the paperwork, they say it's so complicated. It's cheaper just to get a car here than to bring one in. So I decided that I'm just going to listen to the wisdom of all of those folks and just probably end up buying. I probably will end up getting a car probably in the next 90 days. And the only reason, because again, I can get by without it, is my daughter goes to dance class 6 days a week. And so I have a driver that takes her there. But for the amount of money that we're paying them, I figured, I'm like, you know what? We're better off just buying a car and probably use them half the time still just for the convenience of it and be able to get around.
Okay, that makes sense. So that would say you suggest, so unless people get temporary visa or permanent residency, you suggest that. Okay, so because I did my research, and my research is any car that's 2007 above pay $400 just for the import of the taxes for the car, and $50 for them to do the fees and whatever. That's just that. And then if you're bringing stuff in, that's what I wanted to know about. If you're bringing stuff in, you need to get somebody either to accept you or an agent. It is a lot of stuff. So that's some of the things I want people to be aware of if they're moving about bringing your stuff in, because you can't bring in lagoons, you can't bring in fruits, you can't bring in plants, flowers or any of that. And that's a very key point for us to know, because some of us use chia seeds and maca and all this, and everything has to be labeled. All of your appliances with every model number needs to be labeled properly, that on a cart for them to look and know that's the appliance in there, because sometimes they will open everything. But if you have a person that walks for you that you pay for, they'll have the label and they just give them that paperwork and you're good. Correct. That's from doing my research. So I've been like, really like, okay, So, and the thing is, I like Mexico versus Belize. I used to live in Belize, San Ignacio, matter of fact. So I'm an expat from way back.
Okay, I like that. Right? I like that.
So I learned from certain qualifications for Belize that is different from Mexico. It's easier to be an expat in Mexico than it is in Belize. I love Belize, but I also like Thailand in a way, so I found it easier for me to live. I got to ride trains and all that other stuff. For me, that's cool. So I love it, for me, but I'm an old-fashioned girl. I'm not a city girl. Don't put me in no city. I like my beach. Right. Give me my mountains, give me my ocean so I can see, come and visit you and say hi, and then say, okay, you got to go. Now, I
I
like,
love
and
it.
I like the locals. So that's another
Uh-huh.
thing I find out that been me traveling, living amongst the locals versus
Yes.
living amongst the expats is different. And learning the language they really appreciate. Now I'm going to give this question to my other half, my son, because he was the expat with me. And
Okay.
my question for you, my dear son, because you haven't said nothing, letting mama do all the talking, you know, how did you feel as an expat in Thailand, like versus what you're hearing now?
Um, if you have the funds, it's easier.
Here we go again.
But again, it's prevalent. He just said it in his words. I've been paying attention the whole time. He said he had a lot of easier times because he had a when he first made it, he did pay it for like 4,000, and he also had it made every month. And was it more easier, or was it a little bit? Did it have a little bit of a bumpy road for you, Mr. Ross?
Um, say it one more time. I'm
Like
sorry.
for like when you first started to live
Hmm.
in the area of Columbia that you were living in,
Uh-huh.
was it an easier time? Was it a little bit more easier, or did you have like some rocky roads a little bit, but to get used to it?
Yeah, I would say it was easy. The only challenge that we really had was trying to understand that Spanish.
Yeah,
Um,
so
that was
you
a
did
challenge.
you were able to, like, you had the funds to be able to a little bit to do, like, it was cheap, which is
Yes,
good.
absolutely,
So if
absolutely.
you have, which is more important, like, if you're gonna start this venture, you kind of need a little bit of funds to continuously come in a little bit to just have a little bit of more of an easier time. If you don't and you
Mhm.
do it, you're in Thailand. We had the funds, but it would have been a little bit more better if we did have a little bit more money. So like
Exactly.
but trying to, and then you can't get a job in another country
Correct.
because you got to get a visa, and then you got to do other things, and then try to hunt for another job that's 10 times difficult, like try to do other things. So
Absolutely.
it's nice to do. It's nice to do. It's wonderful to do. It's nice to try to find a job here and do all that and get there. And if you're able to do it, you should go for it, and you should be wonderfully happy
Absolutely.
because it sounds like a wonderful trip and a life experience that you should live,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
like a lot of loads off your shoulder. But there again is
Mhm.
like bringing debt with you. No one wants to
Uh-huh.
do that. No one wants to do that. No one wants to. It's like you pay someone to have a bat behind you, and every time you move, he comes with you. You tell him anytime, any random time, I just want you to loom over me with a bat, hit me over the head with it. So no one wants that.
Exactly.
So like
Exactly.
it sounds a wonderful if you have the plans, which he does, and if you got to do the research. Like we said in the
Definitely.
last show on 20, you gotta do the research. It's
Definitely.
very important. Do your due
And he
diligence.
definitely talked about
Do
that.
your due diligence. Yeah, we
Absolutely.
did talk about that yesterday. We got to do your
So,
due
how
diligence.
did
Make
you
sure to get a group. Bye.
see that was short to the point, right? This is our project together. You know,
Uh-huh.
me and my baby. I should say my man, adult man child,
Your
or
man.
adult man prodigy.
It's,
My
or you could
adult
just say son.
prodigy.
You don't have to make
That's
it
what I'm going to
complicated.
say.
You could just say son. You don't have to make it complicated. Don't have to be extras. Just
Whatever.
just
I say what I
just not
want.
complicate
Look,
things. I mean, you don't have to be extra, but I'm just saying.
this is all live. This is not recorded. This is how he is all the
I know.
time.
Just don't complicate life. Life
Okay.
life is too
So
short to be complicating things.
yeah. Okay. So we gotta go. You have any questions or anything else you want to say, my love, for me? What do you have to
any
say?
social media
What
so
do you have
people
to
can
say? Tell me.
get in contact
Talk
with you,
to me.
Mr. Curtis, Mr.
Contact
Ross?
you.
Do you have any like social
Yes,
medias that
yes,
anyone wants to let them know?
yes,
So like,
absolutely.
or any books or anything they can look up
Yeah,
so people
definitely.
can get in
You can
contact
visit
so they can
our
have more information.
yeah, you can visit our website at www.moveabroadandthrive.com. We have lots of information on the website. You can sign up to receive some resources and reports via email. You'll see a box on the front of the page, moveabroadandthrive.com. Also, our YouTube channel,
Okay.
youtube.com/moveabroadandthrive as well.
Do you have like a link tree or like a Twitter or anything that people can even visit you to on there, or like
I
any of your
do-
social medias? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the
One
only
moment.
social media I have is the Facebook, facebook.com /Move Abroad and Thrive as well. The Instagram is brand new. I don't have anything on it, but Instagram.com, Cartess.Ross will get you there as well.
I will actually try to put your channel in the chat so everyone can
Okay.
go visit you there. And then is your did you connect your website to your yes it is. Never mind.
Social, yes, yes, it
Yes.
is.
Okay, so I'm going to do this real quick. I'm actually on the live right now, so anyone on YouTube, or if it's impossible, Mom, can you show the website? I mean channel link. Let me just. I'm going to do this then. I'm going to do the Thrive. I'm going to copy the URL
Okay.
and put it in the YouTube chat, so everyone can type it out and be able to go back on it and able to see back and see how to get in contact or get more information from you.
Awesome. Muchas gracias.
No problem. De nada. Okay, one moment. There we go. That should say it. Mom, can you show that on the screen for me? On the chats? What, did not pop up? Did not pop up? Please pop up. Please pop up. Silly technology. Why aren't you popping up? Yeah. So again, to reiterate, Mr. Ross is a professional, a person that lived abroad for quite some time. And if you want to get more information, you go to www.moveabroadandthrive.com. And if you want to hear more information from him, you can go on his YouTube channel, subscribe to him too, and click the notification bell for him so you can get more information on that and see his adventures and also past adventures for him thriving in a different country. And also for us, if you're watching this, please, again, click the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, visit all my mother's social media, visit Mr. Ross's social media when you have time, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. Ross, for coming on. Thank you for being a well of information about moving abroad and showing everyone that you can live if you do the prep work and the due diligence.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
work.
Absolutely.
Because it looks like you're doing successful. You're living comfortable, which everyone wants to do. Everyone should strive to do. Live comfortable.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all, Ms. D, Dr. D, and Mr. Corey. Appreciate your time. Look forward to meeting y'all when y'all make your way down to Mexico.
Oh, most definitely. We will bring you back. We're going to have you on again. Just sorry that it's like so short.
It's all good.
We do apologize. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to his channel and watch. Bye. How did you do this? It's not going. Uh-oh.